What is up, gamers? I am so sorry it's been this long since my last YouTube video, but here we are making another one, and this one is a highly requested video from the Player 2 gaming community, and that is a look at my setup, a walkthrough of the backstage here, where I'm gonna walk you guys through some of the hardware and software that I use to run my stream, as well as give you guys maybe some tips and tricks on how to get a more professional looking stream. So let's dive in. All right, first let's walk through my monitor setup and what I'm using each monitor for. All right, first up is my 27-inch 165 hertz MSI curved gaming monitor. That is the Optics Mag 27 series. This is the monitor that sits directly in front of my face, and it's the one that I game on. Next up is my vertical Samsung S24 E450 monitor. This monitor sits directly to the right of my gaming monitor, right underneath of my camera, and it runs my Facebook gaming chat. This monitor is probably my favorite monitor for two reasons. First is the obvious, this was a gift from my mods, and so I hold it very close to my heart. Number two, it's made my life so much easier as far as keeping up with chat. If you don't have a vertical monitor and you can afford to get one, get one. Next up is the third monitor on my right here, and it is an old Dell monitor, and this one runs my stream. I get all of my alerts, I can run my polls and stream details off of that one. It's also the monitor that I will open up and view other people's streams, or if I'm searching something on the internet while I am live, that is a monitor that I will use. And the fourth monitor all the way over here on my right is my gigantic 32-inch Samsung TV that is not good for gaming whatsoever. I just simply use it to have my OBS studio up and running so I can monitor everything that's going on, see if my encoder's overloading, see if I've dropped any frames, and just keep a general eye out on the stream software itself. Next up is my Stream Deck. This thing is super awesome to have. It is just extremely helpful for multiple reasons. I can use it to switch between my scenes and sources on OBS Studio, as well as mute and unmute and activate different GIFs and sound effects, as well as do different specific keybinds like clipping something. This thing is super helpful to have. You can get a lot of software on your iPad or your iPhone as well. There's a lot of different apps you can use for that as well. I just like the aesthetic of the Stream Deck, and Elgato stands up to its name, so I use one of these guys. Next up is the controller. I use the Elite Series 2 Xbox controller, and I use two paddles on the back, one to activate my tactical sprint and one for my slide. And the last screen that I have in front of me is my iPad, which I always have open, and I'm always just watching other streamers on this, whether or not I'm streaming or not. And the final screen you see sitting behind me is my Mac. That is my media computer. I've always loved Mac as far as editing photos and video, so I use this guy for all of my offline content and my VODs. As well, I leave it up and running with the Player 2 Gaming logo when I'm live. As far as PC, I'm not going to get into too much detail. Everything that I use to build my gaming PC, which is my streaming PC as well, is in the description below if you are interested. All right, that's it for monitors. Let's take a look at some sound. As you can see, I'm using the pod microphone, which is a much more economical choice. If you're looking at a professional sound, it goes for about $150 to $200 depending where you get it from. And if you've watched a video by Harris Heller, the stream doctor, he actually compares it to the quality of the Shure SM7B. It just has a little less of that professional bass sound to it, but it is a great choice if you're starting out. A thing to note with the pod mic is it is an XLR microphone, so you do need to have a audio interface as opposed to mics like the Blue Yeti, which use just the USB. There are a lot of pros and cons to using XLR as opposed to USB and vice versa, but I'm not going to get too much into those guys. I'm just going to walk you guys through what I'm using. The audio interface that I use is sitting right behind me. It is by M Audio, and it is the M-Track 2x2. It is just a simple 2-track audio interface that is affordable. There are a ton of different makes of these, and I don't think it really matters which one you use. Honestly, just choose one that you can afford. Make sure the reviews are good online. Another one that is popular, Dieter actually uses one of these, is the Behringer. This one is the Euphoria UMC22. And again, this is just a single mic line in. So this is a one track. Gives you your outputs, your inputs for speakers and whatnot, but you're mostly going to be using headphones anyway. Let's talk about headphones. The headset that I use is the SteelSeries Arctic ones. There are a lot of headphones out there, and you're probably going to want to just search for the one that suits you the best. Honestly, I love these ones because they don't give me a headache like a lot of other headphones do, and they're quite affordable. They go for about $120 Canadian. The thing that I like about these guys is you can just pop this guy right out. They're Bluetooth enabled, so I've got a little Bluetooth USB stick that sits in the back of my PC that it connects to, which is super helpful. All right, let's move into my favorite aspect of streaming, and that is video. I currently use the Nikon D610, which is a full-framed DSLR, as my primary webcam. And I use the Sigma Art Series Prime lens, which is a 24mm 1.4 aperture. The thing to note with cameras is a DSLR is always going to get you better quality than a webcam, but it is going to cost you. DSLRs, especially a full frame and one that has interchangeable lenses, is always going to cost you more. You'll also need to make extra purchases like power supply, which is a 2-cable purchase, which gives your camera an infinite amount of battery life per se. When I started streaming, I used battery and I would have to constantly switch these things out. It just ate through my camera. I would probably go through 3 lithium batteries per 4 or 5 hour stream. So that cable is a must. And the next cable, you're gonna be using HDMI into a micro HDMI, depending on what camera you have. So you'll need the HDMI cord as well as the micro HDMI adapter. There are third-party softwares that you can actually use to plug your camera in via a USB. I highly recommend you don't do this, as you're gonna lose frames and you're gonna lose quality like you can't imagine. But the most important thing to note about your camera quality is going to be your lens. It's all about the cut of the glass and the speed of your aperture. So what you're gonna look for when you're purchasing a lens is you're gonna look for the number here on the lens itself. It's gonna be on the far right, which is the speed, AKA the aperture of your lens. The lens I currently use has an aperture of 1.4. Aperture is the part of your lens that's going to open up and allow light to come in. So the faster your lens is, which is the smaller the aperture number, which is the bigger the aperture. It's very confusing, but basically the smaller your number on the aperture, the better quality you're gonna get, especially in low light situations. The other thing you're gonna wanna note about the aperture is the blurry background. That is what makes that blurry background. If that number is really high, everything's gonna be in focus like this. As you can see, quality drops a lot more. I'm not standing out as much as I am from my background. My lights have to be a lot brighter, and my ISO, which is my camera's sensitivity to the light, has to be bumped way up. So you're gonna lose quality there. It's gonna look really grainy. What you want is a lens that has a very fast aperture. I would try to stick below 2.4, and that will give you the nice blurry background, having yourself stand out from your background. Next up is your lighting, which is super important to get that crisp video picture. The trick is to keep your quality high without blowing out your lights in the back and being able to light yourself adequately. For this, I recommend 2 lights. I recommend your main light and I recommend your filler light, and I'll show you what they do. This is me with no extra lighting. Might see a bit of light in my face because I have all of these monitors giving me light. Otherwise, the only light source you're gonna see is the stuff behind me. It's important not to put your light above you or directly in front of you. If it's above you, you're gonna get some nasty shadows. If it is in front of you, you're gonna blow out your background. So let's start with your primary light. I'd say at about a 45-degree angle, a little higher, pointing straight down directly on you. Your first light, your main light, is gonna be a little bit powerful. It's gonna be annoying, and it's gonna create some shadows on the opposite side, but that's okay, because that's what the filler light is for. Your filler light, you want it to be a little less aggressive with a diffuser over top of it, and that's just gonna fill out the rest of the shadows without blowing up the backlight or overexposing your face. As far as backlighting goes, there's so many different LEDs or decorations that you can get. The important part, again, is not overexposing. Here's how to do that. When you're setting up and testing your camera settings and your light settings, what you want to do is expose first and foremost for your lighting behind you. Set your shutter speed at about 120, no less than 60. If you're streaming on Facebook Gaming and you've unlocked the 1080p 60 frames per second, that's what your camera's going to read anyway. 60 frames per second. Then set your aperture to a number that's nice and open, which is a small number, which will give you that blurry background and set you apart from your background and bring you to the forefront of the focus. Then what you're going to want to do is mess with your ISO, which again is the sensitivity of your camera's sensor to the light. The higher the number, the higher sensitive it is to the light. The lower the number, the darker your image is going to be. The only thing to note is the higher number of ISO you have, you're going to get super grainy. Once you've got the backlight on, you can focus on lighting yourself using your primary and your filler lights in front of you. If you don't have a DSLR and all you have is a webcam, that's totally fine. All of this still pertains to a webcam. You can actually use software on your computer. Most webcams will come with software for this, but if it doesn't, your streaming software like OBS Studios or Streamlabs will have filters and settings where you can actually edit the way that your camera looks and how sensitive it is to light right in the program. Next up are the pedals. These are USB foot switch pedals. They are E-Goal, if that's the right way to pronounce it. Any USB pedal will work just fine. I like these ones because the software is really great and easy to work with. Basically, you can use this for absolutely anything. You can use this to control your character in video games. You can use this for shortcuts on the computer. Personally, I use it to control my microphone when I'm streaming. This guy here controls my in-game chat in Warzone, and this one controls my Discord chat. Trust me when I say this, when you're co-streaming, you do not want to be blowing up the other streamer's ear and chat with your communication with your chat. If you set up a co-stream with someone and they play with you for the first time and all they hear is you saying, hey, Michael, thanks for the like. Hey, Jess, thanks for the share. Hey, Michael, thanks for the stars. Brandon, thank you for commenting. They're never going to want to play with you again because their chat doesn't want to hear that. So the beauty with these guys is you can actually put push to talk or hold to talk to make sure that I don't forget, because I have a memory like a potato sometimes. I have these set to push to talk. So I actually have to hold this down to communicate with my teammates. That way I know when I'm talking to my chat, I'm not blowing up my teammates' eardrums or filling their chat full of my chat's conversation, if that makes sense. All right, guys, that's the tour. That's the studio. That is all of the equipment that I use for the most part, as well as some of the software and technical sides of it. I think one of the most important things when you're streaming is make sure you're in a comfortable environment, somewhere that really makes you feel like you're ready to nerd out. At least that's what I do. I'm literally surrounded by everything that makes me feel super nerdy, which I dig. And remember that you're always gonna have something that you're gonna wanna improve. There's always gonna be the next purchase you need to make or the next change. There's always gonna be something that you're gonna be looking back and going, ooh, I should change that or I should fix that. So remember to take it slow, don't break the bank. And a lot of this quality can be achieved with spending very minimal amounts if you just take the time to do some research, watch some videos, as well as trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. See what works, see what doesn't, and don't be scared to try something new. Like personally, I don't have it all figured out. I'm constantly changing things. I'm constantly frustrated with technology, with software when stuff doesn't work. I go, ooh, I need this, I need this, I need to make a purchase, I need to change that. Happens all the time. And I don't think it's ever going to stop. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about being a streamer and content creator is you have that freedom to try new stuff, see what works, see what doesn't, see what fits with yourself and your stream and your community. With that said, guys, I love helping out new streamers. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comment. Come check me out on stream, send me a message, contact my Discord, send me an email. I would love to get in touch and help you out and answer any of the questions you have. Do I have all the answers? Can I make your stream perfect? Absolutely not, but I will do my best because I actually care. If you guys did enjoy this video or found any of it helpful whatsoever, leave me a comment below, drop a thumbs up, or hit that subscribe button if you want to watch any of my future videos, and I hope to see you guys on Facebook Gaming soon. Cheers.